Michael is someone that I'm really beginning to really enjoy having on because he's talking to us about decentralization. And what's really important is that these pro-life activists and all the people who are getting arrested, you know, the first thing the FBI does is they take all of their computers, all of their phones, and then they turn your group. Like, let's say 20 people went to an abortion clinic. They turn people against each other, and then they use that to charge you with conspiracy. So you have a key for us in the future, because if Trump doesn't take back the White House, we could all risk getting arrested.
Yep. The reality is digital control is here. It's not something in the future. And it's not something that we have to be concerned about or hide from if we actually are in control of it as individuals. And right now, the folks that are in control of it are basically have puppet masters that are secret combinations. And, you know, the front runners are the social medias, the cellular companies, you know, and so there's decentralization is a solution to it. It's just a matter of people understanding it and getting involved and actually starting to use it.
Okay, so give us the bottom line. What's decentralization? What does that really mean?
Decentralization is the ability for an individual to actually own their own identity and their own name. So instead of saying, I was born and given a name and a birth certificate and then a social security number, and then I can go into a bank and get a bank account number. That bank account number is controlled by an ecosystem, maybe a banking institution, maybe a credit union institution, and they can take it back if they want to under the auspices of being in the federal government ecosystem. So we just have been conditioned that that's really the way forward. But what if you could actually have your own bank, your own identity, your own data, and you're actually in control of all of it? And it's linked to who you are as a physical individual, physically. So that's basically what decentralization enables. The simple answer to decentralization is what we call cryptography. People also know it as crypto. They also know it as blockchain, but ultimately it's math. It's math that is intelligently organized for individuals and or for parents to actually govern their children as they're young, and as you teach them true and correct principles and let them govern themselves. They have the ability to then, as you get older, to then govern your assets as you pass on. And they do it in such a way that is cryptographically secured. So instead of hundreds of millions of dollars going to each state on average every single year from unclaimed assets from people that pass away, next generation can actually transfer those assets, and these assets can be physical assets that are linked to digital systems. And so a lot of people may feel like, you know, these are just long words and I can understand it, but it's actually really, really simple. Instead of getting an Apple phone and a Google phone and logging in to their systems with your data, and you give them your data and your consent, you basically own your own data. You own your own identity. You own your own names. You own your own assets. The systems log in with 5-factor authentication. So it's something you have, a phone, something you are, your finger, and then something you do in a space and time to authenticate onto the phone. And then you open up an app, per se, like one of these, and you basically then log in with the phone. So you actually scan something so you don't have to have usernames and passwords anymore. You don't have to have complicated accounts, you know, different accounts like bank accounts, etc. It's really the future, and this future is coming. It will be, in my opinion, in a sad way, it'll actually be forced on us after we have massive, compelling events. COVID was not a massive, compelling event compared to what's coming. But imagine destruction and wars and rumors of wars, and on the other side of it, the only way to be able to transact and be a part of it is you work within a digital ecosystem. So there's no cash. They basically have, and that's why, you know, this Biden regime has basically approved a programmable money bill that allows for future financial systems to basically be manipulated and controlled. You know, it's one thing to lose the backing of a currency from a gold standard. It's a whole nother thing to be able to have it be taken away from you. And you've seen.
Okay, but it's illegal to take away the dollar bill in places like Massachusetts. So how's Biden going to get through that? How are they? This is called the CBDC. What's it called? Explain it to everyone.
So CBDC is a central bank digital currency. But if there are assets that have, and people need to understand this very simple concept. I'll see if I can actually, I'm going to use an existing system that we all have today. So we all have these things called credit cards, okay? And these credit cards have a number on the front and a number on the back. Did you ever wonder why or how that kind of happened? Well, the number on the front is like an account number, like a bank account number, okay?
I hope no one steals that number.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. There's no worries at all.
Okay.
And then the number on the back is basically what they would call a private key. So you have a public key on the front and a private key in the back. But when you go and buy a hamburger and you hand it to the waitress or waiter, they have your public key and private key. All they have to do is take a photo of it, snap, and it's theirs. What's the difference? So in this ecosystem of this future system, it's all going to go digital. I promise everything is going to go digital.
By what year? Like, give us your timeline.
It's already here.
It's already starting.
It's already here. I can tell you a key date is May 2025 when the Real ID becomes law. So Real ID is basically the little gold star in your ID, but that is actually
even if Trump takes back the White House, this will happen to us.
I'm sorry to say that this is going to be a reality no matter who's president. You know, it really will be. This is something that has been set in motion for a very long time. This May 2025 date is the third time they've pushed it back. You know, this has been going on for a very long time. And ultimately, the individual must own their own identity. We have a thing in the United States of America, which was the first country to have a constitution. And then lots of other countries have the constitutions that follow it. But there's a Fourth Amendment inside that Constitution that gives us human rights. And one of them is privacy. And another one is to travel. Both of those things are being impeded and stolen. And like the prior individual that you had on, you know, they're targeting individuals that believe in rights and privacies. There's states that are literally just saying, guns, First Amendment, it's all gone. It's out the door. We don't care. That's old stuff. But our founding fathers actually were very brilliant. They disseminated the authority to sheriffs in the counties. That is a decentralization. That is decentralizing the authority to each county, giving the local authority to elected officials in that area. So if you actually vote locally, and that's another thing is decentralization can actually solve the whole voting issue. It can solve financial systems issues. It can solve dispute issues. It can solve land management issues. It can solve the overinflated government systems that literally we as individuals should be governing ourselves. Our identity, our reputation, our creditworthiness, all of these different systems should be our responsibility. The problem is a lot of people aren't willing to say, I'll go ahead and take accountability for 12 words, 12 little words that then link to a fingerprint. And then I can actually have my identity, my children's birth certificates, my marriage certificate, or my parents' death certificate, however that life cycle works. But it goes much further than that. You can literally take assets. You can create businesses or you can do them as individuals. And you can link those assets in the physical world, like homes, like property, like vehicles, like a boat, like a weapon. You can link these assets to the actual individual and digitally. And then you can actually register them, you can insure them, you can finance them, you can pass them from generation to generation. So, you know, I don't know if people really understand the magnitude of what this is, but Corrine, we've been working on it for over 14 years.
This is deep. Okay. Thank God someone's been working on it. Okay.
So it's an important step. It's not just about selling a phone. It's about providing identity for individuals, and they can do it on their existing phones. If they want to stay within the Google system or the Apple system, they can just download the apps that are associated with it and just literally do all of the things I just talked about and on their existing phones. But if they want one that's turnkeyed, that integrates all the other assets such as contacts, calendar, messaging, photos, all of those different apps and systems, it links in seamlessly within the Clearphone ecosystem.
Okay, so this is the Clearphone. You gave me one. I'm so grateful you gave me two because I have 3 phones because everything I do is on phones. I just have a dumb, stupid question. Is the photo, what's the photo capability on these phones? Because I think I'm gonna have to figure this out, but I'm gonna move all my private phone calls to the Clearphone with phone123.com service because the owner, I love her and she's one of my favorite people.
Awesome.
And I want everyone to switch their phone service to phone123.com right now because we are almost entering into the next 6 months of the election cycle and very serious stuff is going to happen, especially to journalists like me. I don't want to get set up in another 9/11 situation or another J6 situation. So the bottom line is that I have the dumb iPhone that spies on me, that texts people without my permission. This iPhone is out of control, but I've had it for 2 years. I'm going to use it, but then my personal life, I'm going to put on the Clearphone with the phone service, phone123.com. And then, are you ready for this? This is a really famous phone, okay? In the worlds that I travel in, an independent journalist, this is called the Unicorn phone, Michael, and this is a 917-287-1314. And since like 2017, whistleblowers can call me or text me, or anyone can call me or text me on this Unicorn phone and talk to me, or they can just get me the information that I need, and then I can get it to the right independent journalists. So I'm going to put this onto the phone that you told me Candace Owens sold so many of, the Freedom phone.
Perfect.
So this is the Freedom phone, and I'm going to promote the Freedom phone, obviously, but only if you use phone service, phone123. And then I'm going to promote the 620 phone that you gave me, which I'm so grateful for your real life, for all your personal information. Yesterday, I was in Virginia with parents, okay, totally normal Christian, all-American parents. We had a meeting in Virginia. You couldn't bring your phone to the meeting. You had to leave your phone in the car in a Faraday bag. You can buy the Faraday bags at Be Ready and Prep 123. Be Ready and Prep 123. This is how we have to live now. And we're all Christian American patriots. We're all parents who are Christian American patriots. So our government is spying on us. And that's why this is really serious stuff. So we've got your product, which is so important, the 620 phone, which it's gonna take me like at least a month to figure out. So we can do that
it'll
on
take you
air.
a couple of days. I think it's important to note that this isn't all about worrying about being spied on. It's so much bigger than that. It's worrying about being controlled. Like once everything goes digital, if we think that we are little hamsters on a wheel going around, you wake up, you go to work, you provide that value, you pay this, do this, pay this, do this, sleep, you start over. That cycle is nothing compared to the control that the digital ecosystem will literally enslave us to. It's massively greater. Where you go, what you do, how you do it. If you go somewhere and you actually don't agree with certain opinions, you can't actually drive somewhere. Your car will stop. The ability for your money to not work, the ability for money to disappear if you don't do certain things, the ability for other people that do certain things to actually have money appear, the ability for if you travel to a certain location from a geo standpoint, not only it's as a tracking, it's a controlling. So certain items that you want to purchase in a certain location, you can't actually purchase. That is what the programmable money bill is enabling the actual governments to do. And it's please, I promise you, the ability to actually transact in real time is here. The ability for that to be transparent and open and honest is here. The ability, and that's what this clear technology provides through the digital world. It provides the individuals to actually operate in these new systems, but be obfuscated or not be in the front of everything. They can literally, their identity can be hidden, but at the same time, they can be private. But if someone wants to see it and validate, they're in control of saying, I will give these credentials or data to you. And then when you're done with it, I'll take it back. Whether it's health data, whether it's financial data, educational data, basic reputation data, what is it from a financial standpoint? Do you have certain means to be able to get creditworthy? The whole underwriting process for financing will change in the future. And using data and technology is important. It's not something we can just walk away from. It's something that we need to embrace, but we need to embrace it in a decentralized approach where the individual owns their own identity and data. It's so important.
Okay, so Michael, you're going to have to create a whole email system because American patriots that I know I've interviewed are having problems with iCloud and Google emails. We're going to have to create a whole bank that won't take our money away from us. We need a new Amazon. I'm having major issues with Amazon where I just can't even talk about it. It's so ridiculous because I don't want to get sued by Jeff Bezos, but I boycotted Amazon for most of my life. I just started using Amazon this year because I have to build my studio in-house and prepare, because what I'm doing in Washington, D.C. is documenting boots on the ground, heels on the ground, the real news. And now that the pro-Palestinian protesters are 24/7 in front of the Israeli embassy, and they're 24/7 right now, they're 24/7 at the GW campus, and then they're doing whatever they want in front of Blinken's house, who is a secretary for Biden. The bottom line is that it's dangerous. And at any time, Antifa will follow me into the actual federal courthouse. They'll follow me into Congress. There's better security there, obviously. But the bottom line is that I have to really be prepared for the time when it'll be too dangerous for me to actually be a journalist in public. And I have to sit in a studio that I create. So I'm starting to use Amazon to deliver stuff. And I'm just noticing how they can erase credits. They can charge you more, charge you less. Things can get erased. This whole system that we're on that is digitalized, at the end of my life, I'm going to end up throwing away all of my phones, only having a satellite phone and not even using a computer, because I've had so many insane experiences where I was at Hertz Car Rental. I got banned at Hertz Car Rental. Then I did another situation. I got banned somewhere. I won't even get into all the places. Because I wouldn't wear a mask and because my social media says that I support President Donald Trump. So this is going to get worse and worse and worse. And my own daughter, our children need to understand this. They've got to be really careful now.
Well, there's a point where if we actually get organized and we get together and we start using systems that are decentralized, and then we go to all the vendors and we say, by the dollars that we spend, if we say we will only buy from Amazon or use this bank or use this email if you accept a decentralized identity. Think about that. And then if they don't do it, what are they doing? They're actually violating a human right of privacy. And so just like the European Union on one hand said, if people don't consent to cookies, you can't store their data. And if you do, and you're not in the European Union, we're going to take 5% from you. And they did that to Facebook and to Amazon and to Marriott and many others.
Wait, so should I be consenting to cookies or not? Give me that.
Hold on.
Okay.
You got to turn this light on in your head.
Okay.
The European Union was created from 6 countries coming together in the post end of the Second World War. Now it is 27 countries. And what did they launch? The euro. Okay. And the gentleman that launched the euro or created it resigned the day that they launched it. You got to understand why.
So he made money?
No.
Okay.
He disagreed with how they were actually using it. So monetary policy and systems is something that folks need to understand. But think about this. If the European Union can go after Amazon and Facebook and Google and Microsoft and Marriott and sue them and take money from them, think about the power there. And they're only doing it from what you talked about with a cookie and consent. That's not talking about privacy and travel. Those are 2 fundamental human rights that are basic of being alive. We're not talking religion. We're not talking God. These are all simple basics. And so imagine instead of the European Union, you have a Pacific Union. Corinne. Like this is,
Okay.
you have a Pacific Union of countries that come together that actually say, here's your notice. You have 1 year to train your staff on what a decentralized ID is. So an individual that gets pulled over has a driver's license or a license plate that has a QR code on it, or they have a driver's license that has a QR code on it, and the officer has to scan it, and then the officer can get, hey, I know what the VIN number is, I know what the prior license plate number is if it wasn't new, I know what the vehicle identification is, I know if it's stolen or not, I know if it's insured, I know if it's financed, I know who owns it, I know who can drive it. But they don't need to know the details of the owners or the drivers. They can see a first name, maybe, and then they can request. So they can come up and they can see a driver's face, but they can see a driver's first name. Like, have you used an Uber or Lyft service before?
I'm banned on Lyft.
Okay.
I use Uber.
So if you were to use Uber, they know your first name. The driver knows your first name. They don't know your phone number. They get masked. They don't know your credit card number. They get masked. But who does know all of that information? Uber.
The Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about
globalists.
this. What it does is it takes it a level to the individual. The individual can actually own their own identity instead of giving it to Uber. So what if the Ubers would actually accept a decentralized payment and a decentralized ID? Would you use them?
I'm ready to use them now. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
but when you use them now, you're like, they also know who I am. They also know payments. They know where I go. They know. So the reality is there's a future, like you're talking about being persecuted, and people that are actually love the flag, love God, love the basics of a constitution, and love America are being persecuted.
And prosecuted and lives destroyed.
I wouldn't even say they're being prosecuted. I'd say they're being tortured. They're being kidnapped and tortured is what's happening. They're being put into big boy timeout, big girl timeout. How many of these people don't even have arraignment dates? How many of these people are just going around in circles? Yeah. It's literally weaponized the government against individuals that actually love the country and love God and love the basis of freedom and life. And it's the last stand. America is the last stand. This has been done in other countries by Soros and many others for decades and decades and decades, probably centuries. This is such,
I think it's our own CIA, Michael.
I won't be specific with different organizations' names and numbers, and I think you can understand why. I know you live in this world, you know this. But what I'm trying to say is, you as an individual, if there was ABC service that came up that was like Uber, and they would take a decentralized payment and a decentralized ID, would you use them?
Of course.
I mean, and then think about this: if these other ones like Lyft and Uber and others that are coming on the scene don't do it, would you not use them? And would
I would not use them.
Would there need to be some legal consequences? Just like the European Union goes after people that just track a certain data. What about the Pacific Union going after people that are violating privacy rights and travel rights? Now, these are basic, just fundamentals that we're talking about here. But this is a proof point that's already happened in our lifetime. About 3 years ago, maybe 4, you remember all of a sudden overnight, these little banners popped up that said, we have a cookie. We're going to trace you. Are you okay with that? Click yes.
Every day they drive me insane.
But 5 years ago, they didn't drive you insane because they weren't there. That's my point that I'm trying to drive at. If we follow intelligently organized process around decentralization, our freedom and identity can actually be returned. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're saying we have to work together. Once again, we have to work together in our county, and we all have to choose to do this because we can't get it unless we.
Hold on. You're spot on, but think about it bigger.
Okay.
What in your thought process around the county is brilliant. Why? Because you saw the founding forefathers decentralize the authority to the county sheriffs, which is where you and I met at Sheriff Mac's event. And we know that good constitutional sheriffs will stand up for every word that we're talking about here. They will stand up for the individual against an oppressive government. Government is a form of slavery, but governance is a form of accountability and responsibility. But is it really the counties? What if countries and nations and kingdoms, or maybe even providences, above the county level, we're actually to say, we will use this to protect our citizens or our nationals or our residents. We will choose to free the individual. We will choose to actually follow laws that help banking and insurance and courts. Maybe it's
So I would move to those countries. Where is that happening?
You got it. Now you're starting to hit it. So imagine, and I could actually pull up some maps and some beautiful things if you want. I can. But imagine an ecosystem where there's freedom, where this earth is actually looked at as a gift from our creator. And we don't just think, oh, well, that's just my plot of land and I'm going to live the American dream and just make sure that I can live this till this and then I die. No, it's like, let's live on an earth that is free. Let's live in a jurisdiction that is free. And there are many that are out there. They're around the globe. But what if these different jurisdictions that are free actually stand up and start working together and saying, we will treaty one with another, whether you're a state, whether you're a county, whether you're a country, whether you're a kingdom, we will work together. And the currencies in the future, the monetary systems, the identity systems, the land management systems, imagine one land management system like the Wikipedia, like literally imagine one big Wikipedia, but it's the globe. And every square inch, every single line and cut and border, everything is defined in this. And people can say, I disagree with that line. Let's go have a dispute. And it's an automated process that can actually help them to truly get resolution. Because right now, the real resolution in the courts is those that have the most money win. It's not really who's right or wrong or who's kind or right. So having a system where the individual's voice counts and these countries and kingdoms that come together, and maybe it's states, like, I don't know about you, but there are states that are saying enough is enough. You got Texas, you got Nevada, you got Utah, you got Idaho, you got the greater Idaho and Oregon movement. You even have pieces of California. And this is just on the West Coast connected to the Pacific. So there's a lot here. I'm grateful for you having me on your show. There's a little banner at the bottom that actually says clear.store/discount/Kareen USA. And anybody that uses that basically saves $100 on the 620 phone.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This is the 620 phone. This is for people like me. I like big print because I talk to at least 100 people a day. So I have to keep it really clear what I do. And so this is the 620 phone. You gave this to me as a gift and I'm so grateful. I'm going to start this phone service with phone123.com, but the actual phone itself, you have to buy through Michael. Because nobody sells this phone. Now, listen, Michael, let's say I sell 1,000 of these phones. Can you sell 1,000 phones in a month, or do you have a limit? You can only sell 20.
We could ship out 1,000 phones the same day you order them.
Really? You have that many phones ready?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay, and so what is the website? It's Clear Phone. Explain this.
Clear.store. www.clear.store. Just that simple.
Okay, so next time you check in with me, put your name and then just put the www.clear.store so we can get it really organized. And then you gave me a code called Corinne, CORINNE USA. And people, when they go in, they can use my code and they save $100 on this phone.
That phone is actually, that's a $1,200 phone. It has an amazing screen. It has an amazing battery. It's got 4 cameras on it, wide angle, macro, normal photo and then one on the front that's a 20 frame per second camera that does some crazy stuff I won't even talk about from a future standpoint of individuals owning their own data. That $1,200 phone today is $899, and with your discount, it's $799.
That's phenomenal. Give us the website again. I love this.
It's actually streaming, and it's streaming at clear.store/discounts/Kareen USA.
I love this. I mean, this phone is like, feels good. Okay, what do I do about the phone case? I have dumb questions. What do I do about the phone case?
All Clear phones, all Freedom phones, all Armor phones, they all come with cases.
Okay.
So there's a case in that box. You can throw it on that phone. I'd recommend you do it.
Okay. So we have the case in the box, and then it all comes hooked up.
Why don't you
So I'm
pull it
just-
all out? Pull it all out and show them just what it looks
I'm
like.
gonna slowly but surely
She's
get
over
really
time.
into
Okay,
this phone because I'm overwhelmed. I mean, seriously, if you knew the days I had just like you, it's out of control, the days that we're having, but this is what it looks like when you get it. And then does it come with phone service or can you put it with your own
It
phone?
works with any cellular phone service that's GSM. So the phone service that you mentioned, what was it again?
Phone123.com.
So that phone service will work with it. Any T-Mobile, any AT&T, these are all in the US. Outside of the US, there's GSM carriers as well, like Vodafone, Telstra, Optus. The case on the right, I don't know what's right, everybody, that one, there's actually a key inside of there and a clear case. It also comes with a screen protector on the front and on the back.
This is amazing. And I don't even, are they made in America? I mean, does
These
it even matter
phones-
at this point?
No, it matters. It definitely matters. Actually, open up your box. No, go. Yeah, there's the case. Grab your
Okay.
box and show us the inside of your box. Kind of throw it up
Okay.
on the screen real fast.
This
No,
inside?
the other side, the other cover. So go ahead and the cover that you put on the bottom. No. So take the.
Okay.
No, you were right. You had it right.
I was right.
So
Okay.
just take the box. You took the lid and you put it
Yeah.
on top of it.
The front.
You got it.
Yeah.
So turn that. No. So you see the top of it?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Put that down real fast and grab the other box.
The other box.
There you
It says
go.
made in America. Where does
There
it say?
you go. No, I'm sorry. So you were right. You had the right one the first time.
We'll get this. It's okay. Don't
There
worry
we
about
go.
it.
So
I like it raw and real.
I'm confused. Okay, so take the phone and take that off of. There you go. There you go. Now take the there you go. That goes in the box.
Woohoo.
Okay, so this stuff. Okay, take that out as well. So that's a support. Here we go. Now this is where we wanted to be. So if you put that up, you can see basically the location of where everything is made. The core phone and processing is actually out of New Zealand, Aotearoa. And then you've got different locations. If you stick it up closer, I can even read it. So you've got, Italy is where the interface is designed and the software front end. Some of the apps are designed out of India. You've got some of the security out of Canada. And the United States is where the support and the technology is basically all combined. Out of Utah is where it mainly was architected and designed. And then you've got things out of Hong Kong and Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and China. So they're all basically mixed in. In the middle, you can see the vendors or the company's names. And on the left, you can see what product or service or application they basically make. So that's the answer to your question. But this is made from teams in 13 different countries that are absolutely dedicated to decentralization and really humans, the experience here on Earth.
This is my favorite topic now, decentralization, because we all have to be prepared. Even if Trump takes back the White House,
Yeah.
you're saying that we are in for tough times in the future?
The simple answer is a resounding yes.
Okay. You're the only person willing to say that, so I respect your bravery.
Now, I've met Trump. I've shown him these phones. He loves them. There's no negative feelings. I personally feel like
Oh, he's great.
Trump has done more for this country than I would say every president combined. And that says a lot because I loved what Reagan did and some of the others. But he has dedicated his life. And I have nothing but respect to him. What they're doing to him is more than wrong. It's
They're
sad.
arresting anyone who stands up for him. And so this is becoming crazy. This is why Trump has to come back in the White House. We're all going to get arrested if he doesn't come back.
Well, the goal is we need to move
If I
forward.
had this on January 6th, would the feds be able to track where I was?
You can turn your GPS on or off with the system. It comes off and it comes de-Googled. So this phone does not work with Google unless you do a couple things to actually set it up. If you haven't looked at any Android operating system, even before you do anything, you boot the phone up and it's sending off GPS signals. These phones do not do that. They won't even work with the Google network unless you go in and say, I actually want to turn it on. You have to go in and put in a key. It's like 4 steps you have to do to get it to work with Google. So these phones are built for privacy. Now, there's actually some tutorials. If it is a life or death process with some of the whistleblowers that you work with, there are videos that show them how to absolutely stay off grid 100%.
And we use a Faraday bag. Okay, so we're going to get into all that stuff
Okay.
because this is what I care about. I want to protect American patriots in the future. Your phone shouldn't be spying on you. It's not okay.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's, most people just pay for an Apple phone that spies on them, period.
Yeah, the Apple phone needs to go. Apple can sue me all they want. I'm on a campaign to tell people to get rid of their Apple phone. It spies on you. So I might get sued like Dominion sued people. I super don't care. But the bottom line is that it's time to switch to real phones that stand up for you. So you buy the 620 phone and you hook it up to phone123.com, and then I can personally promise that you'll get the best customer service. What's the website to buy this?
Clear.store. And if you want support for it, it's clear.support.
Clear.store. And then you use my code, Corinne USA.
Yeah.
And you can get $100 off of this right now.
That's correct.
So grateful. You're amazing.
Thank you for all you do to try and
Come back
drive.
next week. I love this. I love these lessons because this is a solution. Usually we're stuck with huge problems, but you have a solution for American patriots and patriots around the world, because you can buy this phone anywhere in the world and you can hook it up to phone123.com and it will work.
Well, thank you for helping to solve the other issue, which is the media. They're not truthful. They're absolutely bought. And so thank you for being a light around what's true and going on out there. Even if the darkness is there, I still think the way that you can drive an awareness that what's happening, but we can still move forward in faith. We live in a beautiful time. We really do. I mean, the conveniences and simple things of life that we have, the ability to communicate and be able to have freedoms, even though we think what's happening is wrong. But it's people like us that will literally stand up so that it can get better in the future, kind of like our forefathers did long ago. But it's time for us to literally double down and instead of having them turn over in their graves, literally do what's right. So thank you for being a light.
I'm fully dedicated to that, and I get tortured by mainstream media whenever I'm dealing with them in Washington, D.C., because I always tell them, how can you lie about what really is happening in D.C.? Because they lie. And so that's a big issue. So I'm doing the best I can. So support the work that I do and buy a 620 phone. Use my code Corinne USA. You go to Clear, Connect, Clear. Did I say this right?
Clear.store.
Clear store.
Clear.store.
Clear.store. Okay, I like this. Clear.store. And then you do / Corinne USA.
/discount. So you've
got to text this to me. You should text this to me.
I have sent it to you. I'll send it to you again.
Okay, good. And now you can see how overwhelmed I am.
No,
okay.
You're great. You're absolutely, you're doing what's right, and you're driving awareness for things that are important. So thank you.
Yes, God bless you. And I love the way that you educate us. So this is what it's really about, education for people like us who really need it, because we're going into very serious times before November 2024. And if I am ready to expose election corruption, I'm going to make sure I do it on this phone and not the iPhone, because the iPhone just turns off on me sometimes now. My iPhone is going wild. It starts tape recording me talking and text it to people I don't want it to text to. I'm losing photos in my iPhone, and my iPhone is not secure, and it spies on me. So it's time to boycott the iPhone, y'all.
I just popped up a QR code, so the people that are seeing the restreaming going on, they can scan that and it'll pop to the URL that we're talking about for your discounts.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this phone is $800 normally, right?
It's normally
usually
$1,200. It's $899 today, and then with your discount, it'll go down to $799, so $800 flat.
So so we're going to go to clear.store.
Mm-hmm.
right?
/
And my code
discount, and then / your code.
/
Or
Corinne
people can
Music.
just scan the QR code that's streaming right now.
Okay, good. Thank God. Okay, good. Thank God. Make this easier for me. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, come back next week and give us your best of your best, because I know that there's really serious stuff that you know that we haven't had time to delve into. And I really want to get into it because I know there's other stuff that you haven't started telling us, because I think you're a wealth of information.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Appreciate it.
God bless you. Have a beautiful evening.
Much love.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So this really segues into a really important couple who are currently being persecuted and prosecuted by the U.S. federal government. I'm going to bring them in. This is Bunky and Stephanie Crawford. How are you guys? They're in Georgia, live.
We're good.
Good.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks for having us.
Yes, I'm so grateful to have you. Thank you so much for coming in and having courage and bravery to talk about what you're going through. Of course, I don't want to talk about anything that could, implicate yourself or put you in danger, because your court date is at the end of the month. The beginning of your court dates are at the end of May. But when I posted about you, when your wife started contacting me, and I started posting about you, people care about you because you're a beautiful American family with 3 children, and you shouldn't be persecuted and prosecuted by the U.S. federal government and falsely accused of having some crazy weapon that you didn't even bring to the U.S. Capitol. And this is ridiculous. So go for it.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. And, it ain't, and there's many others that, it was an attack that day, and it was an attack from who they said it was from. I'll just go ahead and say this, okay? The only people who were rioting that day was not the Trump people. It's they show what they want to show, and not show what they should, and it's sad. It's sad. And the problem. If you want to boil down to the problems in this country, it's people don't. Well, the main thing is prayer. There's less prayer going on. And people want to. People love their jobs more than their country, and they've forgotten how to do what's right, and the importance of doing what's right. No matter what, you do what's right because it's right, because that's the right thing to do. Not